House of the Dragon, it's been stalling, it's been dragging. We wanted battles, we got cattle and some wagons. We asked for a dance with dragons in the sky. We got some mud wrestling with a pirate and some guy. We're far past caring about the visions in Harrenhal. We wanted blood and glory, and instead we hit a wall.
I think the best way I can describe last night's finale of House of the Dragon is that it was a very good episode and a terrible finale. Because the actual episode itself, for the most part, was a strong episode. And I think as the 8th episode of a 10-episode season, it would have been phenomenal. I think everyone would have been jazzed at the end of this episode if it had been the 8th. Because we would have known that in the 9th episode, next Sunday, we would have gotten some kind of epic showdown, right? Because we've got, Lannisters on the march with their lions in the cages. We've got the High Towers on the march, and you could see Tessarion, Daenerys Targaryen's dragon flying above them. We've got the Starks crossing the bridge at the Twins. You've got Damon finally, bending the knee to Rhaenyra, although I think that was a little rushed. I have more to say on that in a minute. You have all this stuff happening, right? The Dragon Riders are getting ready. Alicent is going to open the gates of King's Landing because she's having a midlife crisis or something. You've got the pirates of the Triarchy heading towards the Gullet to surprise attack the Sea Snake Corlys Velaryon's fleet. Whole bunch of stuff going on. All these things are about to happen. Aemon's about to leave with Vhagar. It's really building up to an awesome moment. And if next week we'd gotten some payoff on some of that, I'm not saying that they could show every single confrontation, or even that all of those confrontations are ready to come to a head, right? Like, some of those armies are marching really far away. They're not going to meet each other for a while. But if we'd had something, a battle at Harrenhal, a battle, I would have picked personally the naval clash, or, I mean, for a lot of reasons, but whatever, or even, Rhaenyra heading to King's Landing or something. There was a whole bunch of ways that the 9th episode could have paid off with a big action sequence, battle sequence, awesome, high octane, whatever. Then the 10th episode could have been the fallout of whatever happened in the 9th and setting the stage for season 3. And I think everyone would have been totally fine with that. Because for one thing, we're all kind of accustomed to the 9th episode of Game of Thrones being something huge like the Battle of Blackwater Bay, and other big battle scenes, or other big epic moments happen in the 9th episode. And you've got that falling action in the 10th episode. What you don't see usually is an episode like last night's, which is this episode which has lots of rising action leading to nothing, right? That's not how you end a season. That's how you prepare for the big showdown at the end of the season. It's certainly not how this is what I complained about in my written review, is that, if you're a fan of Game of Thrones, you're sick of waiting, right? You're not just browbeaten into accepting it. No, it's 2 more years to see what happens after this. That's crazy. As I've mentioned, it's been 19 years since we've had a Sansa point of view chapter in the actual books. That's a long time to wait. It's a long time to wait. Multiple presidents, the whole Harry Potter series. I mean, it's crazy. Of movies, that is. Here's another thing. Season 1 ended with Team Green and Team Black on the verge of war. That's a fair statement, right? At the end of season 1, it was like Lucerys was just killed by Aemon and Vhagar. Everyone was getting ready to throw down. So I thought, yeah, okay, season 2 is going to be a lot more warfare. Sure, I expected it to be a lot of talking and a lot of character stuff, because that's the way the show is. For one thing, for budgetary purposes, you can't just have it be all warfare all the time. Although I think you can show smaller scale fight scenes more frequently and get away with that. That doesn't cost as much. It doesn't have to always be dragon battles, right? one big dragon battle and a few smaller skirmishes, I think people will be pretty happy. Season 1 ended with Team Black, Team Green on the precipice of war, and so does Season 2. The exact same. I mean, yes, pieces have moved. We have moved them around the board. There are more armies marching. There are more dragon riders. There are a lot of things that have changed, but it is still pretty much conceptually the exact same ending. And we still have not gotten into all-out war. Here's another thing. I don't think that the big battle is going to happen in the first episode of Season 3. That's just not how this show is ever structured, right? It took 4 episodes to get to the Rook's Rest thing in Season 2. And it's kind of... Unless they totally change it up, maybe they'll listen to feedback and they'll be like, all right, we've got to actually give them a battle right away. But I would just expect it doesn't. Another weird thing in this episode was Otto Hightower being like in a jail cell or something. It was just like thrown in there for 2 seconds at the end. Like, what? I'm assuming that Larys, when he was ordered to go find Otto and bring him to Aemond, actually like captured him. But why didn't they show that? Sometimes the stuff that they don't show on screen is so perplexing in this show. Like in this episode, we learned that Aemond has burned this town to the ground. But do they show him doing it? No, they don't. Okay, they show some mud wrestling. I actually liked that whole segment in with the Triarchy, with the pirates, with Tyland Lannister going to negotiate with them. I thought it was very, very cheesy when they started mentioning the Lohar, this pirate, the captain that all the men were so loyal to. It was cheesy because they made it so obvious that it wasn't going to be a man because it was all like non-gendered language. They never said he, right? And then it's a woman, and they've gender swapped to be a female character played by a trans woman. Actually, that's neither here nor there. I actually thought that character was very entertaining, and that she did a good job. Like, I don't really give a shit. That character is barely. I mean, that's not a like very major character in the books. On the other hand, we get a lot of stuff with Tyland and Lohar. There's quite an extended scene, but we don't get any battles. So it's like, okay, guys, what is going on here? This feels like the second or third to last episode from start to finish, not the finale, or not at least the big climactic episode that we required at this point. And like Ryan Condal, the showrunner, had said there's 2 big sequences that are just like episodes within episodes, and they're so epic and bigger than anything in season 1. And one of those was Rook's Rest, and he's absolutely right about that. Turns out the other one was the Dragon Rider sequence last week. That's not bigger than anything in season 1. I'm sorry, the whole Vhagar and Aemond hunting down Luke and Eric's is way bigger, way more intense and crazy scene than the Dragon Riders, who just, I mean, that's a cool scene and I liked it, but that's misleading. I personally thought at first that he was talking about another big battle. Clearly not. Damon's vision was weird. I think what bothers me about, they're showing Daenerys and her dragons. They show a lot of stuff. The White Walkers, Three-Eyed Raven, Rhaenyra on the throne, which I guess all this stuff combines to convince him that she's the rightful heir and he should follow her because this is bigger than him and bigger than all of them. It was such a rapid fire thing, all those images, that it kind of feels too fast. Like we're not able to really get the emotional gravitas of what's going on for him to be convinced of this. I liked when Helena entered his vision, and then that cuts over to her and Aemond, and she's pretty awesome when she's dealing with Aemond, who, by the way, Aemond has been kind of written into a corner as this rash, mustache twirling villain by the end of this season, which is really unfortunate because I think he's a really complex and interesting character, and I think they kind of did him dirty these last few episodes. But I think they could have done so much more with Damon's visions with so much less. There's just too many visions throughout the season. I think the problem is that in the book, Damon just goes to Harrenhal and there's just not much there. So they had to fill it in. And I'm glad they did it with something interesting, and especially with Sir Simon Strong, who is the MVP of the season. He's hilarious. In this episode, he's clapping when Damon bends the knee to Rhaenyra. He's all happy, like Grandpa pulled the strings and did good. But the problem with the visions and with Daenerys and all this is the end of Game of Thrones. Like, we're supposed to see this, I think, as like the prophecy of the prince who was promised, and it doesn't show Jon Snow, Aegon Targaryen, his real name. Spoilers. It shows Daenerys. And the problem with that is that that's some bullshit, first of all. I don't buy it for a second that she was the princess who was promised. For one thing, because she goes fucking crazy and kills everybody. That's what this all leads to, right? Jon Snow is the hero of the story because he kills the Mad Queen, right? And he should be the king at the end, and he should have killed the Night King, although the Night King isn't even in the fucking books. So it's all bullshit. The end of Game of Thrones, I liked it first when this show seemed to be critiquing that and like offering a new interpretation, but this vision kind of feels like they're kind of shoehorning back in, that Daenerys, she's the one that's going to stop the bad guys, when that's really just not even true. I mean, one of her dragons becomes one of their dragons, one of the undead dragons. She's useless, whatever. You're the worst fans. I'm sorry if you're one of these. If you're a Daenerys fanboy or fangirl, I'm sorry, I apologize in advance, but you people are insane. Yeah, what do you mean, you people? No, you people are insane defending Daenerys. She burned countless innocents for no reason. She did what the Mad King Aerys, her grandfather, wanted to do. And she wasn't even backed into a corner to do it. He was surrounded by enemies, about to, lose. Kind of made sense in a twisted way, but she was winning? Yeah, you defend her because you're crazy people. Fanatics. So anyways, I don't know. I think that's pretty much all I have to say about the finale. I think it kind of, I was pretty positive. I was quite positive about the season overall because I kept thinking that all of this slower character development, all that stuff was pushing us towards something. But you can't really do 2 whole seasons of build up to a war. 2 out of 4. There's going to be 4 seasons. And now half of that, over half, because the next seasons are probably going to only be 8 episodes. So 18 out of the 34 episodes are already done, and now we have just 2 seasons, 2 truncated seasons left to tell the rest of the war and what happens after. On the bright side, we did just see the first brief footage of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, the Dunk and Egg novellas adaptation, and it looks great so far. I mean, obviously, it's just way too soon to tell. The casting looks on point. It looks action-packed, and I just think that that's going to be an easier and more fun adaptation because it's sort of the knight errantry and all that. And I love the Dunk and Egg novellas. I mean, in some ways, they're my favorite out of all of it because they're a little bit more grounded and a little, less epic, heroic, and more, zoomed in on a smaller story with fewer characters and less prophecy and all that, the burdens that comes with in a fantasy series. So, totally random thought, but I walked inside and my son was playing Ghost of Tsushima, which is a fantastic game, and it's on my TV all the time because everyone's always playing it all the time. Can you blame them? And I thought to myself, what we need is a medieval Europe version of that game. The same basic game. An open world medieval game, not a fantasy, not a crunchy RPG, but just you go around on your horse and you go to castles and you fight men at arms and other knights and you joust and you just wouldn't that be awesome? And I know there's stuff there's Mountain Blade and stuff and all that, but I'm talking about a game that's as awesome, AAA as what Sucker Punch did with Ghost of Tsushima. So that's where I'm going to end. And thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell. I'm sure I'm forgetting some stuff from the episode, but I don't care to go and recap everything. This is where I'm at with it. Okay, so let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching. Peace.
We asked for a dance with dragons in the sky. We got some mud wrestling with a pirate and some guy. But far past caring about the visions in Harrenhal. We wanted blood and glory, and instead